Hello, my name is Hector Velazquez and welcome to another episode of GCSAA Inside the Shop. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about bed bars. And we have a special guest technician that's going to share his tips and tricks on what he does to make sure that he maintains a pretty square bed bar. Now, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get started.
Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Henniger, Head Equipment Manager at Angus Glen Golf Club in Markham, Ontario, Canada.
So a bed bar in a real cutting unit is a crucial component that holds the bed knife in place. The bed knife is a flat, sharp blade that works in conjunction with the rotating reel blades to cut the grass. The bed bar assembly ensures that the bed knife is positioned correctly and securely, allowing for a precise and efficient cutting.
All new bed knives that are attached to the bed bar get ground before they're put in the cutting unit. It's like we said, you don't know if it's sometimes the bed knife is a little bit off, or is it the bed bar that's a little bit off.
All right, so anytime we install a new bed knife on a bed bar, we have to true it up to the bed bar. Bed bars are not perfect, and I'm gonna prove that to you. We're gonna grab our reference point here on the right side of this bed knife. Now, to prove to you that my V pallet on my grinder is straight, I have a shaft here with a dial indicator, and it's mounted to the carriage. As you can see, we started at 0. We're going to move it to the other side of the mounting area, and it's at 0. So the top face is pretty straight. Now the front face, we started at 0, moving to the other end, and we're ending up at 0. So we know our V pallet is within at least 1/1000th of an inch to the carriage, right? All right, so moving on to the other side, we're going to zero out the dial. And again, we're going to bring the stone down until I make contact with that bed knife. And there we go. Now let's see what we got here. We got 11/1000ths of an inch. So we are deviating within 11/1000ths of an inch. So we're going to have to move quite a bit of material to get this bed knife parallel to the pivot bolts. Let's check out that bed bar. As you can see on the one side, we started at 0. And look at that. We're off by 11/1000ths of an inch. Now, I think we can do a little bit better with that, which goes to show that whatever shape the bed bar is in, that bed knife is going to take that shape. So we want to start off with a good foundation. Let's get this right. All right, so I want to use, as you notice, I'm using a different stone. I'm not using my diamond stone on this. So I'm touching in the middle, which is exactly what I want. I do not want to change the angle of this bed bar. Now I am going to start off really light, really slow. We are removing a lot of material. So I don't want to rush this process. 30 minutes later. And look at that. We have a beautiful finish. We took our time with it. We went slow. Just look at that. So now we're going to install our bed knife, and we're going to do our test one more time before we start grinding this thing. And we want to make sure we properly torque down our screws.
If there's any wave in the knife, or if the angle isn't what you want it to be, this is the time that you're going to put the angle in it that you want to, and you're going to true it up to the bed bar. So this is why moving forward, when we start talking about bed bar resurfacing, we know that the bed bar is true. So if there is any variation in it, it is in the knife from manufacturing.
All right, so we're going to once again get our reference point. We're going to zero out our gauge. Come to the other side, drop our stone until we're making contact. And check it out, 5/1000ths of an inch. I mean, this is awesome. It's a huge improvement. So already, here's our first pass. And look at that, we're pretty much sparking on either end. And seriously, like 3 minutes later, and we have a completely ground bed knife, ready to rock, looks great. We saved so much life on this bed knife. It's going to last us a lot longer. We're going to get a lot more grinds out of it because we're starting off with a nice, even, parallel foundation to the pivot bolts. Definitely worth it. Well, as you can see, taking the time to make sure that our bed bar is completely parallel and flat to the pivot bolts, it's going to make sure that we get the most out of our bed knives. After all, they're not getting any cheaper. I want to thank Kevin Hennigar for his knowledge and wisdom in this subject, and I want to thank you for joining us here today on GCSAA Inside the Shop, where we're helping technicians one wrench at a time.